What's up, guys? Welcome back to F1 America. We're talking Vegas prices, baby.
Vegas prices. I'm going to dabble in a little bit of like initial thoughts of the week so far because they've been doing stuff all week. They did the Netflix Cup, which I'll get into that in a little bit too. Kind of the initial opening weekend. Did you see the video on them coming out of the floor for like the stadium and Tiesta? And
I did not. I saw like a
Legend.
few things on Instagram. I really just saw Max Verstappen talking about how he felt ridiculous up there, like
I
a circus act or something.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of see what it was, where he's coming from because I watched the videos like they shoot up McLaren, and then they shoot up Ferrari, and then they shoot up the Haas, and I'm like, this is so stupid. No other F1 race do they do that, right? So it's like they're kind of glamorizing them a lot more than they're probably even used to. I mean, they're definitely celebrities around the world, but at the same token, it was kind of like you guys are going way over. Like I get it, it's Vegas, but it's way over the top. So
way over the top. Also, don't go anywhere because that's bright.
Yeah, that's really bright. Oh, Jesus,
that's better. Now we're glamorized. Should I just rise up out of the? We're going to talk about the most expensive ticket. Don't go anywhere. It's crazy. It's mind blowing.
We're going to cover some packages. Cover the most expensive package, most expensive ticket, and overall pricing about the event.
And this is like the most expensive event to attend in F1 history.
I think for sure.
Pretty sure.
Well, I mean,
definitely on the calendar right now.
Yeah,
as far as average ticket price.
Who else could? I don't know how you get much crazier than that, right? Like how much wild price wise, like what other venue could you go to that's going to be that much? Maybe if you did it in like Paris or something, maybe I don't know, like. What other venue or New York or something like that? Like if you went into like a bigger city, that needed to shut down more. The other thing I'd say though too is the inflation kind of adding to that as well to make it that expensive. But also at the same time, they're saying how expensive it is, but then they're willing to go. I've seen articles where they're willing to pay people to attend the race to attend fans. So it's like now you guys are shooting yourself in the foot.
Let's see, 2 months ago, right? All the hype about this is the most expensive event. It's crazy. It's like the most money put into event to put on, as we've started to see all these different things. Right. I mean, they're going golfing and they're filming it on Netflix and stuff so. It's a huge production for this whole. They don't do that for other races. But now that we're even just a day before or a few hours from the first practice, all the ticket prices are nearly cut in half. The ones they're not selling ticket prices that they thought they were going to, that they expected. And now they're just struggling, I think, to try and minimize the damages lost.
Yeah, I mean, we could just dive right into it. Like GA standing only, right? $500. Is that for? I don't see it on that. Is that for all weekend?
That is for all weekend.
Okay.
Yeah, so 3-day. Because most of the ones that I saw were even like if you want to have a seat, it was like $1,000 for 1 day.
Yeah, which is insane. Like, how do they expect the average Joe, the average guy like us, to go afford that, A, and then B, like, or just the locals, right? Like the locals, most of the people that live in Vegas aren't ballers. Most of them are people working multiple jobs,
the hospitality industry.
They're like grinding it out, right? And they live outside of Vegas, and they hang out in Vegas. But I know people that work in Vegas and they work in the industries. They get a lot of shit for free because they're just trading all the time. Like, oh, come to my club or my bar and like, I'll hook you up and like, you don't drink here. And oh, we'll go to your spot on Tuesday and yada, yada. So it's like, it's not like these people have a shit ton of money. So it's kind of strange, unique.
Well, it's the celebrity draw, right? Is like, oh, Vegas is this huge party city. And I mean, I was actually really stunned to hear all the drivers who requested a Vegas race. And I don't know if it's just because of it's kind of iconically known as like the party city, of the world, or what. And I've given this opinion before. I personally think it's a shithole, and I don't even like to be there. Other than I would go for the race because
you don't like to leave your driveway. So I mean, that's not saying much.
That's not true.
But no, I mean, I think a lot of Europeans like the concept of Vegas, right? And I think it's because,
Mhm.
and we grew up so close to it. Like maybe if
maybe
I was on
that's
the
why.
East Coast, right? Like
Yeah.
maybe if I was on the East Coast, I'd be like, man, I want to go to Vegas. But then Miami is like a normal thing. So, or depending on where
Yeah,
you're
see,
at,
like, I really wanna go to Miami because 'cause I've never been.
right? So I
So,
could
maybe that's
see,
it.
yeah, there's something like that, or even like people in Monaco, people like probably like, yeah, they go to vacation in Monaco, but they're like, oh, it's Monaco. Like
Mhm.
I could see Europeans saying that. Like I'm sure it's beautiful, but like us to
Which
Monaco,
that's my bucket list race
yeah,
if
we're
I
like,
ever
oh
went,
man,
is like, I wanna go to Monaco.
We gotta go to Monaco. But
Yeah,
then the Europeans probably think the absolute opposite,
that's
right?
true, and I guess it's always, like because, like you said, it's in our backyard, basically, right? So we're like, "Meh."
We're driving distance. I was there a month ago
Right.
for work, so it's like it's Vegas. Like there's casinos everywhere. Like
Yeah,
there's
and I do think, like, if you've never been, it's really cool. Like, you have to go once, but I'm like, I don't really wanna go to the clubs and party, and I don't want like, I do say, like, it's cool, like, Cirque du Soleil, and I like the shows. I'm old. Um,
he
I'm
listens
also
to
not a
Celine
big
Dion,
I'm no, I'm not a big gambler either, right?
right?
And so, it's just not my vibe for a city. I like more of the beach, laid back, kinda thing.
Yeah, I mean, looking at it too, like once you shell out the money for, so say we're just going GA, right? It's $500. Then you got your accommodations for the hotel, which is going to be outrageously
Mhm.
expensive, which I'm sure yeah, everything's hiked up. And then on top of that, so you have all that money that you're
So that's
shelling out.
also just like you're standing at the
Yeah,
event. That's not even a sit on a grandstand stadium.
right. So you're sitting down, you're paying probably 500 to $1,000 a night for your hotel
Yeah,
room
because all of that's inflated because of F1
because
weekend.
the event, right? Like
Mhm.
if you could go to Vegas for cheap, like I've gone to Vegas on cheap and paid like $100 a
Yeah, I
night
was gonna
for a
say
room.
like $90 a night.
Yeah, and like that's when you're balling on a budget, that's what you do, right?
Yeah. But
Um,
then if you even have a glimpse of the racetrack, it's like 10 times more than
yeah,
that.
you might as well go stay in like Henderson or something like that because and
Mhm.
just try to drive in, but then you got to think about traffic and
Now
where are you going to park
traffic is
and
crazy. I read an article
mhm,
talking to a lot of the locals about what kind of things have changed. And, there was this huge talk about them going on strike for the hospitality industry because all these people are living, commuting into the venue, into these places. And one of the gals that they had interviewed, she would spend 2 hours worth of her salary, like 2 hours pay for an Uber to get home because if she was to take public transit like she usually does, it was 5 hours for her to get home.
holy moly.
And so, a lot of these will now, the hospitality workers are like, well, what the heck, right? Like, we can't get in. It's like on average, like 2 hours commute, which is crazy. That's a huge, think one way. And all the buses and all the taxis aren't going down there because all the road construction, all the things.
Well, and
Now,
half the routes are shut down. So,
yeah, and I don't know if those things are opened up now that the construction's over and the event's
there's
happening.
routes around everything.
Yeah. So I also, a lot of the locals were blaming F1. Well, one of the guys was saying, actually a big part of the traffic backup was one of the bridges apparently is like taken down to be able to accommodate the new football stadium
Got
and
it.
all of that. So that he's like, well, it's not necessarily F1. This is causing a lot of traffic and lanes kind of shut down. So
I mean,
that's
I've been in Vegas and taken a taxi in Vegas a long time ago when I was like 15, 16, something like that. I was with my family, and back then it wasn't nearly as crowded, right? And
mm,
it definitely took you some time to get from point A to point B, depending on what side you were on. So I couldn't imagine living outside of wherever, whether it's Henderson, it's North Las Vegas, whatever the surrounding city is,
yeah, because
right?
it's pretty sprawling, right? Like the hotel or the airport's quite a ways away, and you have to
Yes and
commute down
no. Like the
into it
airport
anyway.
isn't as far as you would think. Like it's definitely different than like LAX compared to downtown LA. Like it's
Yeah,
not that far. It's definitely closer than that.
yeah,
I'd probably say it's similar to if you've ever been to San Diego. San Diego airport is like right there on the water, and then you
hmm
really could just follow the coastline and you're in downtown as well.
right.
So it's not as far as you would think, but and it's probably no like on an average weekend or weekday with not the race going on, it's probably a 10 to 15-minute Uber from the airport to the strip, right?
Okay, yeah,
So it's not that far. But like just thinking about okay, you got hotels now, we got the tickets, then I'm sure food is somewhat inflated unless you're on a budget eating fast food, right? Like, but if you're
yeah.
gonna go to any restaurant It's going to be packed.
Well, and the price of food, even just for us to buy groceries right now, is like
Is
crazy inflated.
It's gone up. I think for us, like Rain and I were talking about this. I think it's gone up at least like it's half of what it was on top of. So it's like if
Like
I
an
paid
extra 50%.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So if I paid $50 for my groceries a year ago, I'm paying 75. So I'm like 1.5 now of
Mhm.
where I was at, and I'm getting less.
Mhm.
And I don't know if you guys getting totally side topic, but shrinkflation. Like instead of getting like
Mm.
4 ice creams in a box, now you're getting 3, but they're advertising for the same price. And
Mhm.
you know, or it's,
Yeah.
if it's by weight, right? It's like, oh, you used to get 8 pounds, 8 ounces of something. Now you're getting like 6.5, but it looks similar and it's the same price. So
Yeah.
the shrinkflation effect is insane too. So I'm paying more, I'm getting less, and it's just ridiculous. So GA, it's $400 more than the cheapest race, which is Japan, which is actually, I was mind blown by that. Japan is the
Yeah.
cheapest race, which I thought that one would have been more. I thought like something like Hungary
Totally. I
or
know
one of those more Euro
there
locations.
was another one that I had researched that was a lot more affordable too. Fuck, I just forget exactly which
This
one it
week we
is,
shared
but
a video that showed all like the cheapest to the most expensive ones. Somebody else did the video, but I just reposted it on
yeah.
our story, and that was crazy to see like how incrementally more expensive everything gets, right?
And Vegas was the top, right?
And it was it was the top by
Yeah.
a lot.
Yeah, by a lot, right? So then let's say if you don't want to stand, you want to just a basic grandstand seat.
Was that 15
Yeah, it's going to cost you $1,500 for the weekend.
which is insane. And then if yeah, like,
Crazy.
if you want to get like
So
really
then, yeah, you can step up for another $200. You can do the Haas experience, which basically you're still sitting in the same grandstand, maybe slightly different, or like maybe it's boarded off like a VIP, and you get like a fan gift bag, probably some shirts.
I
Or
mean, at
something
that point,
like
though,
that.
for the extra $200, I'd rather do the Haas thing because at least you get to hang
At
out
least
with
you
the
get a
Haas
little
guys,
bit.
right? Like you get a little bit more for your buck than just the grandstand.
Except I don't think that includes like a paddock pass.
No, right? But I'm sure,
Like because there's paddock club passes,
yeah.
and well, we'll get to those because they're a little bit more expensive. But McLaren, so Haas does have like a whole premium experience as well, and that's where you would then,
Hang out with Gene.
yeah, like
K-Mag.
you get to meet the team and different things like that. That's 21,700, like $800 basically. So you're paying almost $22,000 to get like a paddock club, meeting the team and being able to, like maybe for us it would be cool because you could then interview them potentially. Same thing with just like a straight paddock club. That's 19 grand per person,
I'm sorry
by the way.
to be the bearer of bad news here. I'm not paying 20 grand to go
Not
talk
not
to
for
go.
us. Not
Hopefully
for
talk
us.
to somebody, but not
Not
for
for
anybody.
us.
I won't even talk to Christian for 21. You can pay me 21 grand to go talk to you guys.
That's true.
Yeah, sure.
That's true. But like so the paddock club is more of a general paddock, and you get the same kind of, you can have the potential of being able to speak with any of the teams.
Run into those
Like
guys.
yeah, you can go down by their motor homes and try and catch them as they're coming, and there's different interview times where you can try and step in and do some interviews, which I think some of our like maybe competitor channels are
There we
doing,
go.
which is great.
Trying to stir drama here.
No, I don't care.
All publicity is good publicity.
Yeah. We're not, they're doing the same thing, right? They share the same
So many
passion. They just
F1
have
media
more
outlets.
money to
Other F1
throw
media
into it than
outlets.
us.
That's what we're gonna say.
Other F1 media outlets.
Not competitors, because we're not competing with anybody.
That's true. Yeah, I don't even feel like in competition, but
we all talk about similar things, but also totally different things. I've seen other guys talk about totally separate things, and it makes me start thinking about where they're going with this or where like how do they come up with this topic.
I actually do like a lot of their videos too, and just their points of view on things.
There's some people I really like, and there's some people I'm like, how are you where you're at? They will remain named. No, it's not named. I'm just like clickbait. That's what we'll call it.
Yeah.
Who was this one?
So that's the Sports Illustrated.
Okay,
so McLaren has their own special like kind of package. It's about $5,500, but it's on the pool terrace. Uh, so you
Baller.
know you get to hang out in the pool, watch the race, but it's fucking at midnight, so it's gonna be cold as shit. Also, this
Bring the
is
wetsuit.
it's gonna be like 41 degrees or something. Like
Is it really
it's
gonna be that cold?
mhm.
I knew it was
That's what
gonna be
it's
cold, but
yeah, it's gonna be if the temperatures stay what they're projected to stay, it's gonna be the coldest race in F1 history, which is gonna present a whole different set of problems as far as tire temps and all these things. And we add in track layout,
oh,
which is
excellent.
also not going to help. And we add in the track surface, which is brand new, which is also not going to help. So everything is making it going to be hard to warm up the tires.
Raina's calling it that she saw a video that the way pit exit is, and it goes into one of the corners, I think turn one. I don't know. I don't know what
That would
turn.
make sense.
I don't know what turn exactly. It has to be turn one, I would imagine. But the way it exits, the racing line is probably going to drift over the pit, like the pit lane, right? And so she's calling. There's probably going to be some accidents there, and or close calls there.
Penalties at least.
Maybe penalties too because of how the other guys, whoever's on track, right? Say Max pulls into the pit, Lando's coming down the straight. They're like cutting into that pit exit lane to make the apex. And so with Max is coming out, Piastri's come along, they're going to collide possibly, or that's just going to be a call out. So keep your eyes out for the
it's going to be interesting.
At the pit exit.
Mercedes really need their DAS right now.
They need a lot.
Warm up those tires.
Mercedes needs a lot.
So if you want to upgrade from just the normal pool, which is $5,500, you can get a cabana that seats 12 for 89,000. Yeah, for $90,000.
89.5 basically.
$90,000. You can get a cabana that seats 12 of your friends. So go ahead and invite us. We'll bring our swimsuits and we'll freeze our asses off with you. Or you know, you can upgrade from the basic grandstand. You can get the Red Bull grandstand, which is double the price because it's Red Bull.
$3,300.
Yeah, $3,300. It includes a special gift, special edition.
So you get a Red Bull sweatshirt that was probably made in a sweatshop in China, but
you get a Red Bull hoodie and a cap.
I said it. I said what I said.
Special edition, which basically is most likely going to be whatever they bring to this race.
The Vegas
theme. Vegas race theme.
Speaking of Vegas themed, I mean, McLaren did have a pretty gangster hat. Him and Lando and Zach Brown were wearing it in the golf event on Tuesday. It has the McLaren logo, but then also has the slot machine logos on the side. So it has like the cherries, the sevens, stuff like that. So I thought that was pretty cool.
So sidebar.
Yeah.
Carlos Sainz. These guys get paid millions of dollars to race $1 million, race cars, and they can't hold on to the fucking trophies.
They're used to hanging on to the wheel.
Your grip is some shot from golfing 18 holes.
It wasn't even 18, it was 8 holes.
eight holes. You can't even hold on to the trophy.
So yeah, we could talk about that really quickly. So Derek didn't watch it. I like golf, so I participated in watching the Netflix first live event. It was kind of sorry.
It sounded disappointing.
It was disappointing. I mean, they were definitely just trying to make it like a celebrity fest and hype it up. Mm-hmm. And Marshawn Lynch was there.
You know what this reminds me of? It reminds me of the Super Bowl.
No, it's what they're trying to make it.
It's like the Super Bowl of Formula One, even though it's not the season ender. We already know the champions of this year, right? So there's not really any of that excitement coming.
Because they should have just made it like triple points bang or something like
that. Like a triple point shootout.
Yeah.
Whoever makes their tires last.
Yeah. No, because like they were plugging like Mark Wahlberg was there.
Yeah,
Blake Griffin,
like all these
Steve
events.
Aoki. And then obviously now in the opening ceremonies for the weekend, which is what was that last night?
I think
Wednesday night. That they had Tiesto and John Legend there.
And like you said, the guys like popping up from the floor and these lights and shows.
They honestly should have made Vegas like the season finale then. With how they're treating it, they should have been the season finale.
It should have been the end.
But yeah, I mean nobody.
And so they raced 2 times in Vegas in the 80s. I believe it was like 81 and 86 or 88.
Difference in the track. Did you see that outline?
I didn't see it.
So there's like the new track is like this. Say this on the map, it's like this big. It zooms in and out, whatever. The old track is like this big, and it basically went back and forth down a couple alleys, like and shit like that. So
crazy,
but also
expanded. The cars expanded.
Well, yeah, but I mean,
so that was they at that time it was the end of season.
Yeah.
And both times it determined who actually won for the season, which
But
is
also
cool.
the track was probably way smaller because the cars back then were way smaller, like we
Way
talked
smaller.
about in
Monaco
previous
and-
videos.
yeah.
Monaco, the track, like Monaco racing, probably back in the day was probably so good to watch because you could make passes and it was way more reasonable to
even
race
what, like
to make that course a race course.
in the 90s, or like early 2000s, I feel like there was a lot more action. I don't know. I didn't watch it as closely then, but I've been going back and watching some of those old races. And
Yeah, I mean, like we said, the cars have scaled up so much, and it's kind of like, for what? On the bigger courses and the actual GP courses and stuff makes sense, you know, like the Spas, the Texas, the Dakotas, or even this track might be like a good track because it's so big and large scale.
yeah,
But
it'll be interesting. It's still a street circuit, so like the walls are really close.
Yeah.
So I mean, all the variables are showing that we're gonna have 10 DNFs.
I mean, that's fine. Actually, I need to finish talking about the golf event because basically what they did with the golf event, if you didn't have a chance to check it out, they paired a professional golfer with one of the drivers, and it was Carlos Sainz, Lando, Alex Albon, Pierre Gasly. I think that's it. I think there's 4. Yeah. Carlos and Justin Thomas were the ones that took it. They won. But then at the end of the night, after they win the shootout, they had a close to the pin competition after they played their round of golf and whatnot. They got the trophy ceremony, right? And so Carlos is holding the trophy and something, I don't even know what he does. So him and Justin drink out of the trophy. Everything's great. They're doing the photo op, whatever. And something how he holds the trophy in his left hand, it like tilts and you see it just a little slow motion fall out of his hand, bounce off the ground, breaks in half. The cup is the only thing left. And Carlos's disappointment is actually pretty funny though. Bert Kreischer, a comedian, was there doing like all the interviewing portion of it, which was hilarious. And he's like, funny. "Oh, are we gonna go out and we're gonna go party tonight?" And Carlos is like, "Well, I mean, yeah, I would rather do that Saturday, but I mean, I guess I could do it tonight too." And Justin Thomas just got off a plane from Africa because they played in a tournament in Africa over the weekend. So it's just like kind of a cluster. I'm actually curious if they went out and partied on Tuesday night.
Probably.
Yeah, I mean, I can see Justin Thomas because Justin isn't working for
whoever wins is going to be like whoever can nurse a hangover better.
Right. So I don't know Carlos though, because Carlos is coming into the race weekend, right? Like, is he going to go party or is he not? I don't know. Did all those guys go out? Because they're basically making it seem like they had a club. They did the Red Bull reveal for the livery inside of a club with a car hanging upside down and dripped down from the ceiling, which that was cool. But I'm like, this is a freaking Tuesday night. Like you guys are.
But it's Vegas, baby. It never sleeps.
What are you talking about? I've been to Vegas on a Tuesday and there's no DJs in the clubs on a Tuesday night. They only have it like Thursday to Monday night. They always Tuesday, Wednesday. And
well, I think that also goes to show you how much money F1 brings in.
Oh yeah.
To places and maybe how much F1 and the teams and all that spend. Like so all like like when Red Bull does these huge reveals in New York, right?
Oh, yeah,
like I mean, surely it doesn't go against their race budget, right? It's got to be like their marketing department,
the Red Bull marketing campaign.
Yeah,
like the Red Bull corporate marketing campaign, not Red Bull F1 marketing campaign.
Well,
maybe both. Maybe they split it at the end of the day.
Yeah, pretty interesting.
Well, I mean, the marketing budget's got to be huge because they've done how many things?
They do so many cool videos. I mean, just Red Bull, like we've talked about, Red Bull it's an energy drink subsidiary, but really it's a media company.
Yeah, and right? I think it's transitioned. It started as an energy drink, but now it's a media company, and like they were doing hover cars, the racing hover cars in the desert.
They sponsor all the world's best at like if you have a Red Bull lid on, like you're fucking dope.
Growing up, that's what you want to be. Always, if you see a Red Bull athlete,
still to me, like I feel like that would be the pinnacle.
I have a hot take.
Oh, fucking hot take it up, dude. Let's see this.
I think Red Bull is changing. Ooh. It's changed over the years because there's definitely some Red Bull athletes I've seen. I'm like, how the hell did you get a Red Bull gig? Like, don't get me wrong, you're good at what you do, but do you deserve a Red Bull lid? I don't know about that. I could see you being a monster guy or a rock star guy. A motocross. There's a couple motocross guys out there.
You're more critical of those guys too, though. Because
I mean, like I don't care. I'll say who they're. Carson Brown. He doesn't race for a factory team. don't get me wrong, he does some cool videos and makes some cool videos, but he like does videos of him riding like a 1990 like CR85 and he's like shredding his home track on it and like or a a 2002 CR250 and he's shredding on it. It's cool, but when he shows up to a race, he doesn't get shit for results at a race. So I think they hired him and brought him on as a kind of like an influencer or like a affiliate or whatever you want to call him. Then there's also Kalana Humphreys. He's a kid that he's on an 85 and he just hits big jumps.
So
he doesn't race like he races, but he's not a winning amateur.
Does
rider.
Red Bull still sponsor like KTM?
Because they sponsor
like KTM Red Bull Racing, right?
Yeah, so they
that was like
are still the team, and then so they have that team and whatnot. So it's like that's like the two ways to get a Red Bull sponsorship. You either get in on the team that's sponsored by it, or you're an individual athlete. And I have way more respect for the guys that are an individual athlete than a team sponsorship. Like if you play, well, I mean, don't get me wrong.
If you're dogging on them now.
What, the Red Bull? No, yeah, I am because it's a hot take that Red Bull back in the day was so hard to get a Red Bull.
Yeah.
Deal. Like if you're Red Bull wakeboarder, like you are a gangster.
Still is hard, but
yeah, or Red Bull snowboarder, or Red Bull mountain bike guy, like you go hard. Now there's just a handful of guys. I feel like, and that's I think the evolution of social media and stuff like that. I think that's what's changed everything, and Red Bull is definitely kind of seeing, okay, this guy's obviously bringing value. Do I agree with it? I think it's the only thing I think it's devaluing the Red Bull athlete stigma.
Like status. Yeah,
the status. So now I'm like, okay, like he got a Red Bull gig. And it's not a ton of people, but there's like I could probably count on both hands. Like there's enough guys out there, or at least one hand. Like, okay, like there's like 5 guys out there. Like, how did you get a Red Bull?
If that's an industry that you are really well versed in.
Yeah.
Like I wonder if so I watched like the Red Bull skydiving team and stuff like that, right? And we're like, wow, that's so fucking cool, the shit that they're doing. But maybe people in that world are like, man, those aren't even maybe a handful of the top people. So it's interesting. I think it's an interesting hot take.
It's actually funny. I had a buddy that I worked with at my previous company, and he's a skydiver. He's been featured on Netflix and stuff like that. And he's skydived with a lot of Red Bull guys. And he does say he's like the Red Bull guys are kind of tools. He said that to me. We'll keep him nameless so I don't blow him out.
No, I can't do that. But interesting though, like too, because
some are really cool. Some are they have this
when
stigma.
You get like clout like that, right?
Yeah.
We'll be hip and we'll say hip terms. It's probably not even hip anymore. It's probably like 2 years ago. But anyway, like when you get these athletes that are then hyped up, it takes a certain person to be on that level anyway. And then you add in like all this people blowing smoke up their ass about how cool they are.
Right.
A lot of that can go to the head of some of those people. So then they do act like they're better than people, and they do, so and I think that's like sponsored athletes across the board. Anybody who gets a lot of attention and fed from a golden spoon can have that potential.
I think it doesn't have to be a Red Bull. It could be just if you're at the top of your sport, I think you have to, whatever sport it is, right? It could be dancing, it could be racing, whatever. I notice it more so in racers than I do in anything else. But like Max, for example, he's a Red Bull guy. He's a Red Bull guy, but he's a Red Bull guy and he deserves that Red Bull ride because he's clearly like this year shown he's the baddest dude, he's fast, et cetera, et cetera. And you kind of have to have that to be a champion, to be a Red Bull guy. You have to have that mentality like, I'm the baddest dude on this line right now for you to continue to perform the way you're performing.
Yeah.
So I mean, I think that's a good place where we could stop is like to be at the top, whether you're a monster athlete, a Red Bull athlete, rockstar athlete, if you're at the top of your sport, like you kind of have to have that chip on your shoulder, like I'm a bad son of a bitch and I'm going to win every time I get on the line. And if I don't, it's because of something that was out of my control.
Yeah. Well, even if you're not that, right, and you're trying to get to be that.
Yeah. You have to have that kind of mentality,
attitude, right?
But
I still be humble about it.
I think you need to turn it on and off. I think there's like a switch you have to turn on. Like, okay, cool.
Yeah, like on the track.
I'm walking up to the line, like this shit's on. And then I get off the track, like I might be heated, something happened or whatever. But on an off weekend, vacation, whatever, like I'm not this prick that thinks he's hot.
And I think that shows emotional intelligence and maturity too.
Right.
It's like more of the older athletes that now maybe not quite retired or close to retired, or maybe some that are retired. Now you can look at them and like, oh man, you're such a different person now, and they're more versed in,
I've definitely seen that.
Even I would say like even watching Lewis from his first few championships to Lewis now, I think is a completely different type of attitude. And it's interesting because I see more as like now I see him more rooted in like his championness, where before it was kind of like Max was.
Kind of, I'm still
fucking proving myself. Yeah, now it's like, oh, I don't need to prove it. I know I'm.
Yeah, I know I'm a 7-time
champion. Yeah, 8.
So I was holding back a comment this whole time. Actually, I was holding back a comment like, yeah, we can't go one show without mentioning Lewis Hamilton. But
I think for me that's my reference because he was the one that brought me into.
No, for sure.
Like so. Okay, we still have more packages to get through. It's still Vegas time.
Do we want to talk about the premium packages?
Yeah, so basically, like, there's 8 different premium packages. I had trouble finding like all the info on all of them, so I'm just going to give you the top 2 most outrageous. Drum roll. So the most expensive package overall cost is $5 million. Yeah, you heard that. $5 million.
So
mind blowing.
Let's break this down for a second really quick, because $5 million, right? That puts you in a class that not a lot of people can afford, right? And I'm sure somebody's gonna buy it. But then I also think about this too, like whether you're a celebrity or you're a business owner, you're Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk, and those are the 2 biggest names right now. That's the reason why I throw them out there. I mean, you could be
just a tax write-off for them.
Yeah. So it's like, okay, like, are they actually buying that is my question. Or are they getting invited by Red Bull or Mercedes, or who's in are they getting free tickets and free everything because they're those big names?
I think those people are getting free shit,
which is annoying.
Terrible.
That's stupid
because they can afford it.
Yeah.
But I think this is somebody who's like maybe
investment banker in New York, and he's I just got to blow money.
They want to be fucking cool.
Yeah.
That's who's buying those. Like they maybe have $100 million, so $5 million is not much for them,
right?
But they're not. They want to be a billionaire, and they want to have the billionaire experience, and they want you to think they're a billionaire. So they're buying that, and they're fucking inviting their friends to come. That's who it is.
So that's all I got from that is that I need a billionaire friend.
So invite us. We'll think you're a billionaire, and it'll be cool.
It sounds bad.
All right. So what does $5 million get you, Tristan?
So it's gonna be a 5-night stay in a Sky Villa. That's at Caesars.
Yeah, Nobu Sky Villa at Caesar Palace.
Then, as far as people you can invite to it's tickets, paddock tickets that you're gonna get. There's 12 paddock tickets.
12 paddock tickets.
So maybe your first family, your immediate family, and your cousins can go with you.
And F1 America.
And F1 America. Sorry.
So
we'll kick out 2 of your cousins.
Yeah. Well, 2 of your cousins. Just not the kissing ones, whatever you want. So those are $19,000 a piece, right? So 12 tickets valued at $19K a piece.
Yeah. And I can't read your chicken scratch down there.
I got great handwriting. So those the Sky Villa also has like your own terrace basically that overlooks the racetrack. It seats up to 75 people. So if you want to invite 75 of your closest friends and F1 America, bring them over. So basically the cost per person comes out to be $66,000 per guest.
Which blows my mind. Okay, and so the next one we're going to get to will probably be more of like what I could see more normal-esque people doing. But it also comes down to, at the end of the day, like all these packages, right? Whether it's the $7,600 one for the SI swimsuit, or if it's the the $3,300 one for the Red Bull Grandstand, or the 20K paddock pass, right? The celebrity, and this is where the world is like jacked up, and it's like annoying. So bear with me here. So like you're gonna give these tickets to, Marky Mark, Steve Aoki, Elon Musk. Fill in the celebrity you want. Kim K, whatever, MGK. So you're going to give all that in hopes that the peasants like us are going to go buy that to maybe hope we're going to off chance we're going to run into MGK. And it's like, I think that's kind of like messed up. It's stupid, to be honest with you. And there's people that do this like, oh, I'm going to go to this restaurant because I think I'm going to run into Kim K or fill in the blank. And I'm like, but I'm gonna break the bank doing that. And I'm like, I don't understand.
Also, so you run into them. What do you do? Like, hey, can I please take a selfie? And then like
Yeah,
that. It's not like
and
you're fucking. Hey, let's hang out and have dinner and chat.
I'd invite him over for dinner.
Yeah, but like the likelihood
no,
that they're
yeah,
like,
yeah.
oh yeah, oh Tristan, yeah, let me join you.
Right. No, so that's what's
You
like
know,
frustrating, right? So it's like, okay, so all these people get, it's like kind of ass backwards. Like, and this is with every industry, right? It's like whether it's
Yeah.
sponsorship stuff, whether it's, you know, don't support the guy that's been buying your stuff for years, like their whole entire life, right? Whether it's a sponsorship or whatever. But let's give it to the person that's got 1 million followers on Instagram and hope that we get returns by that way. And that's where kind of like the social media thing, and Mason would be a good one to bring in on this because we've talked about this. That it's kind of reversed. It's not based on your skill anymore. It's based on your following. Probably 80% of the time now, which is frustrating, to say the least. So,
well, yeah, and all those numbers are so inflated too.
Yeah,
by people buying bullshit.
Yeah, and the people that like can like afford it, like they should go pay for it. Like and I know the world's about like who you know and like how to get there and whatever. But that's what's like frustrating. It's like, okay, the $5 million package, like, yeah, make Elon Musk pay for that. Make Jeff Bezos pay for that.
Yeah.
Make the guy in New York pay for that.
Well, so that's interesting because we always like all these people that are really, really wealthy, really famous, get all this free shit all the time.
Yeah.
It's really just kind of interesting. The people that can afford things get it for them, like just get stuff given. Like my my brother's wife, her uncle, before he passed, was a world famous photographer.
Okay.
In Korea, and like treated like a crazy, like he was like Oprah in
Really?
Korea, like couldn't go down the street without like yeah. And like he would just get Porsches given to him and stuff, like, it's like, geez, it's wild, like how, brands will give people of a certain status, all these things, because then if people see them, they want to be like them, and it's just, but it's brands have done that for ages.
Yeah, and it trips me out, like, just because, like, say I mean, you can fill in whatever athlete I want. Say it's Travis Pastrana, right? Like, I don't want a Porsche because Travis drives a Porsche. Yeah, that's what's like blows my mind. It's like, I don't, just because they have that, like, if it doesn't look good, like, I don't want it.
Yeah.
So, but I'm very like,
yeah, but we're also different.
Individual.
We also kind of just do what we want because we want to do it, not because we think other people think it's cool.
Yeah. So this is what we've all been waiting for. The most expensive ticket.
Yes. So the most expensive, per person, basically.
Got it.
So this package is not as expensive as the last package, but per person it comes out to be more expensive. So this package is $1 million, but it's only for 6 people.
So it breaks out to 166K.
Yep, 166K per person. It includes a 3-bedroom duplex.
I couldn't read that.
Yeah, so it's like not a villa that overlooks the track, not like, but you also get bespoke dining. So whatever that means. Bespoke basically is just like
high class.
Yeah, but like boutique.
Oh, okay.
So it's not mainstream. It's like maybe a chef comes in and cooks you.
Yeah,
which is cool. Like more of an experience.
I can see you being about that.
I would be more about that. You'd be more about the next thing, which is all you can play golf.
Yes,
which you would miss the race because you'd just be golfing.
Probably would. I'd probably be. Actually, no.
Like
I don't know. I'm
cancel. We got to go golf.
I'd be a lot of golf. But so is that across 5 days like the last one too? I would assume. that because
I don't know. Yeah, it didn't say the night how many nights, but I would guess it's probably about
that one's 5 days. Yeah, I would imagine. 5 nights as well.
And I think this one's more enticing for. Okay, maybe 166 is a little bit more than you and I could pay or would want, but I think this more enticing because of what it includes.
For sure. Like you could see, let's say it again, Jeff Bezos showing up with him and his 6 buddies.
Yeah.
And
like, let's go play golf and let's go. Yeah, I see.
Get the whole 9 from it. See what I did there? I didn't even mean to do that. Bad jokes.
Shut.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, Vegas is ungodly expensive for an F1 race. I saw the clip and I reshared it as well from the safety car and the medic car driving around the track. It was really wet. which I thought was interesting that it was wet.
It
Obviously,
just
it got
looked
some.
really shiny.
Yeah,
I
it
don't
looked
think
really
it's
shiny.
wet, is it?
It looked
I
like
think
wet when they were
it's-
driving around the track. There's like moisture getting flicked up. So I don't know what
Oh,
it's
really?
from. I don't know. Maybe they watered it for some reason. I
Maybe
don't
they
know why you would
watered the
do that,
track.
or like
Yeah.
maybe they put like a sugar down. I don't know, to try to bring up the traction. Maybe they applied some type of
Yeah, I thought it was just slick
traction
because
promoter.
it's a brand new surface and nobody like there's not any racing on it either, right? Like there's
no driving on it yet.
previous formulas going this weekend.
Oh, is there not?
I don't think so. I'd have to look, but a lot like because
There's not like
they're
Formula
not
3 or Formula
yeah,
2.
they're not like Formula 3 and Formula 2 don't go to every single race weekend. They're only really like a certain like let's say maybe 10, I don't know exactly, but let's say like 10 races dispersed throughout. But that actually
That'll help.
adds to the rubber that gets laid down on the tracks, especially if you have a new track.
Yeah.
So I'd be curious to see how the track rubbers in because of the temperatures and just the limited running.
Well, I mean, yeah, look at Miami the last 2 years has been a struggle for a lot of people. I mean, not Red Bull, but I mean, even Red Bull said they did struggle a little bit
Mhm.
because there's such a new track. So I think that's also going to play a
And
factor.
and I think we're going to see that same sort of thing.
They almost should have like F1 should have thought about that and like, yeah, let's bring these other cars. Maybe they did it because they didn't want everybody wrecking like in the other classes.
Maybe.
But you know, like I think that would have definitely helped the track and would have made the racing a little bit better.
Yeah.
Could have made the racing better. We don't know what it's going to be like yet. Maybe it evens everybody out, but I think if anything, it's going to even everybody out downward. And so Red Bull's still going to be kind of in a league of their own, and then everybody else is going to come down with the track. Unless you get somebody, I could see a senior guy like Alonso like really clutching up and being like,
just because he's good on
He
all
has-
different temperature surfaces.
yeah, and he
so
has that
much
experience. Like
knowledge,
even
right?
Lewis,
Mhm.
I'm debating on throwing Lewis on the team. I don't know
Yeah.
yet. I'm still trying to figure that out.
It's gonna be tough. Like I will say the one saving grace for us, like as far as guessing for fantasy, is it's not a sprint, right?
Yeah.
So we get 3 actual practices to see kind of how people are gonna manage this before we decide what we're gonna change for our fantasy team. But we do have to remember that because they wanted this race under the Vegas lights and the whole spectacle, F1 wanted this, by the way.
Oh, that's one thing I was going to say.
Is that the race is actually at like Saturday night instead of Sunday.
At like 10 p.m.
11
our time,
p.m.
like local time. Oh yeah,
11
sorry,
p.m.
11 p.m. because we
local
just
for
did
us,
daylight savings,
yeah.
or everybody else besides us
So
did.
it's 11 to 1,
Yeah, I mean,
and the practices are late.
there's like one at 8, one at midnight, and then one at like 8 the next day,
Mhm.
and then qualifying is late as well. And then
So get your fantasies done before qualifying on Friday night.
actually, I should look at that really quick. before I
Yeah.
forget.
I think I screenshotted it.
One thing I wanted to say though that I was intrigued by was when I saw the video of the medic car and the chase car or the formation car coming around. That main strip that it goes down does look pretty sick.
Yeah.
Like that clip is super awesome.
Yeah. I
Oh,
do
this
want to
starts in
show
3 hours.
I do want to show some little clips of the track and stuff. Since I didn't do a track stat video on this because it's the first race.
Yeah, no stats.
Yeah,
So
no
actually,
stats.
practice one starts
It's
in
50, I think 50 laps, and it's like
3 hours.
6 kilometers long per lap.
Practice
Yeah,
one starts in 3
Practice
hours.
1 starts in 3 hours. We should do this live. So
One to practice 2 is at 1 to 2 a.m.
I know.
Imagine anybody staying in Vegas just hearing like nobody's sleeping tonight.
No noise ordinance for the city. That's crazy. Yeah.
Practice 3s at 9:30 tomorrow.
Interesting.
Qualifying again at 1 in the
Yeah.
morning, which is okay. What about the drivers? Let's talk about that really quick. Like drivers, like
Well,
dealing with like the time zone and shit.
You know,
like
they
that.
get here a week early
Yeah,
because
well,
they
yeah.
didn't travel. Like they had a weekend off, so
They've
they
been
have
in
time
our-
to acclimate. But
Yeah, area.
then it's going to be if they're acclimated to this time zone, it's
Yeah,
going to
they're
be
gonna be
late.
tired. Yeah.
Yeah, there's going to be late
They're
race.
sleeping in, and then the race for
So-
us in Arizona is 11 p.m.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody else is 10 on the West Coast at least.
West Coast, yeah.
Which I thought that was my. I was actually pissed because we have a concert Saturday night. I'm like, shoot, I'm gonna miss the race. And then actually now I'll be able
Like,
to
oh,
watch
come
it.
back from the concert and be able to watch it.
Yeah,
Be wide
so-
awake.
Yeah, no, I mean, an ungodly expensive race. I'm curious how long it'll keep it up. My hope for this race is that I hope it kind of shits the bed a little bit. And then next year they
We
kind
can
of
afford to go.
they reevaluate and they're like, okay, like maybe we don't have to asshole tax
Yeah.
everybody and it's
Well,
not as
and
great.
that's what I was kind of telling you too. Is like we were really trying to plan at least to be in Vegas for this weekend and see if we could get some content or anything. But after reading more of the articles and after all the stuff, and if we would have bought, like, if I would have bought tickets last year for this, and now ticket prices are half, I would be so pissed.
Oh yeah.
All those people that bought tickets, like with the hype of it, I would have been furious. So I think it's great to kind of let the novelty of the first race kind of just settle down a little bit, and maybe things will be a little bit more manageable for normal people to get there next year.
Yeah, because I don't know if I mentioned it just in us having a conversation or if it was on the last show. I did buy tickets to Texas.
Austin, right?
Yeah, to Austin.
Yeah.
So, and that was $299.
You know,
for all 3 days.
so you know what's interesting? Okay, $299 for 3 days.
For 3 days,
That's
and
good.
that was
Do
but
you
that
get
was
to see-
like
do you get to
literally
see-
the week after like Austin was done. So it's like they went on sale, and it was just kind of a spur of the moment. Like,
A lot
okay,
of those tracks do sell out,
yeah.
you know, especially the US ones.
And I just did GA, nothing crazy, but I
Yeah.
think okay, $299. I could see that for F1. You get all 3 days, cool. Like I could see
For
Vegas,
3 days, I think that's worth it.
Vegas too. Like you don't need a mark. I don't know why Vegas needs to even mark it up. That's what I'm
Well,
curious, like why they
Because
did what
all
they
these
did.
promoters want fucking money.
Yeah,
The races, like F1 just wants to make money. Vegas and promoters want to make money. The hotels, I'm sure, want to make money. You know, like everybody just wants to make money.
yeah.
If it's an opportunity of like, oh, the biggest sports race, you know, spectacle
Right.
of the world in Vegas, great. And so you know they fucking pushed it out way more than they needed to, and now they're realizing, oh, maybe.
Well,
we
no,
put it too
exactly.
high.
So like if they would have came in at $299 like the other race, at least. Like I'm not saying it needs to be cheaper.
Sure, maybe if it's a little bit more, but like, you know, make it
I don't
still
know.
feasible. I don't
Yeah.
know. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I mean, I'm
Especially
sure.
if you're traveling from fucking Europe, you know, to
Yeah.
come, like that's a big ticket.
And there's a lot of people like that go to all the not all of them, but you know, they'll go to one in Japan or they'll go to
Yeah.
one in Hungary, they'll go to one in the
Yeah.
Netherlands, and they're from all the other countries. But I just don't know. Like I think they should have kept it like the same, maybe a little bit more, like $50, not even $100 more. Because like if you think about it, now they're shitting the bed, they're trying to pay people to be there, they're trying
Yeah.
to backtrack and just move tickets. It's like kind of like the baseball games when you get on the app and like, oh, you could
Yeah.
go to a baseball game for $5. It's like, oh, sick. Yeah, I'll go to a baseball game for $5 because it's
Absolutely,
the
like-
day of the event and they don't
Yeah.
have they haven't sold out.
Well,
So-
and it's like the little guys like us that kind of want to see the man get like everything, you know, like fuck you, you know, you just want
Yeah, I
stick
kind
with
of
the man to,
no,
like,
yeah, I kind of
you know,
want
you're trying to exploit the fans,
the people that
the
care about the
people
sport
who
that are
really want to be there because we love the passion of it.
yeah,
It's
and
like,
not
you're
the
screwing everybody like
celebrities.
that.
Like,
Yeah.
there might be one or two. Like I'll defend. There might be one or two celebrities out there that actually have a genuine interest in it, right?
Well, now Ryan Reynolds and like half of the Chiefs or whatever own part of Alpine, so
yeah, but okay, so
that's
like
getting hyped.
they called in Patrick Mahomes on the golf event, right? Because Patrick Mahomes is really into golf, and he was kind of commentating. And he's like, "Oh yeah, bummer, I can't be there." Blah 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 blah. And he was talking about it, but like he even said, he's like, "Oh, if you've never been to one of these races," and I don't know if he was just definitely trying to play like layman's terms or if he was just very uneducated on it. But he's like, "Oh yeah, it's so fast and so loud." I'm like, "Have you ever even been to an F1 race, dude? Like, you don't even know what you're talking about right now."
He watched
like-
Drive to Survive once.
Yeah, and I'm like, yeah, sure, you invested in an F1 team. I'm sure if I had $1 million, I could go invest in that same F1 team.
Yeah.
But I actually have like my own
passion for
like
it.
I have I guess not skin in the game, but you know what I mean. Like I have a passion for it versus
Yeah.
you guys are just doing it as a tax write off or just like to
Or
put your
something,
name,
right? Yeah,
put your
like,
name somewhere else out
oh,
there.
it's a potential that could blow up because F1's starting to get big in US.
Yeah. So like, I mean, Mark Wahlberg said that his daughter's very into into Lando, but into F1. And like the reason is Lando. But so okay, cool. Like I could see maybe Mark Wahlberg starting to see it and pay attention to it more. But his daughter's into it. Okay, like that's cool.
Yeah.
Not because oh hey, it's an event. Let's go like hang out at it and. Kind of like when they'll have celebrities wave the checkered flag and stuff, and they don't even know what the fuck they're doing. It's like, dude, like, and they're like, I'm like, Jesus, put somebody up there that like cares. Like, put a fan up there to wave the checkered flag. That would be way more like cool and enthusiastic.
Valuable. Yeah.
Or even put like another racing person in, like from another motorsport, like say a NASCAR person. Throw a NASCAR person in there, and like one of the biggest NASCAR drivers, right? Like Chase Elliott. I don't know. I'm just throwing a name that I know out there, right? Or Kyle Larson. Like they would probably be more appreciative of it because it's a motorsport and they've done IndyCar and like Kyle Larson's gonna do IndyCar and NASCAR next year.
Probably for them it would have been like a dream to drive F1, right?
Yeah. So I don't know. I don't think we got on a couple tangents, but
Got a lot of tangents.
a
We
lot
tend to
of-
do that. I
a
know
lot of
we do
good
that.
a lot of good info.
I do want to put in some cool photos. Like I will say, Just some of the like little finishing touches that have gone into the racetrack,
Like the curbs,
the
with
curves is
the
like the
card
biggest
signals
thing.
and the
Yeah,
card
like
signs.
things like that where I'm like, that's really cool. Like they definitely went above and beyond to make it a really special track and race. And I'm
Make it
cool.
unique, not just the typical track.
Yeah. So
I
I
will
think
say
that's cool.
this track probably has the best liveries and custom
Yeah. So
helmets,
we're gonna do
all that.
we're still deciding. We're either going to do a segment within our post race recap, or we might make it a separate video. I think it'd be a cool separate video of just like the coolest liveries for the Vegas race because and lids.
Yeah, the lids. I was
lids and liveries.
super. Actually, I got to make a comment. I saw it today. Alfa Romeo's car looks
Dude,
so sick.
The gold,
Their like their whole
suits, the
kit
black.
looks sick.
Oh,
Their
dude,
car,
it's
their
sick.
car is a bunch of cards.
Oh,
like
is
in the
it?
livery. It's so sick.
I actually thought AlphaTauri's was cool too.
I don't know if I've seen theirs yet.
Yeah,
but
yeah, so a lot of cool,
I've seen a lot of really good helmets too. A lot of really sick
cool
helmets.
We're gonna do a whole separate segment on those.
So, kind of jumping the gun there, but yeah, we kind of dabbled on it. And I mean that's the stuff that gets me amped up. Is like that shit, like the custom shit. Actually, who was I listening to? It was another race, or I think it was when they were in Mexico or Brazil. One of the commentators was like, "Oh, like because Jim Hitchcliffe." But one of the older commentators talking to Jim was like, "Hey, like, what did you think like of the custom helmets?" And he's like, "It's like honestly, I don't like it because like, how are they gonna know? Like, you get a special race win and they don't know it's you." And I'm like, "See, I grew up like the opposite of that. Like, they're very old school and like, oh, I have to have my color scheme.
Like the same.
They want the same. Like, they're fine with having 5 helmets, but they all got to look the same. And from like
really
from
close to
day one of
similar,
his
yeah.
career to the end of his career." And I'm like, now, like, I'm all about the custom lid, the custom gear, custom livery, like that shit.
I am too.
It makes it look so cool.
I am
like,
too, especially because they all have so many individual characteristics built inside of it that you still know who. Maybe not on track,
yeah.
but like if you see just the helmet, it's like, oh, Valtteri's got his number, and it's like there's all these individual characteristics.
You see what he dropped this week?
I saw some video, but I didn't.
We're not getting paid by Valtteri, just FYI, and I just think it's comedy, so I'm gonna pump Valtteri right now. Is go buy Valtteri's calendar, the butt ass.
Oh my god!
So he did a whole calendar of him just standing naked, and his butt is in every picture on the calendar.
That's
I haven't bought one yet, but
you haven't bought one yet.
They haven't bought one yet, but shameless plug for Valtteri. We're not getting paid. I don't have any affiliation to Valtteri, but
those also aren't cheap to make because when I was a fitness model, I looked into making like some calendars and a pop-up book.
Okay.
And they're expensive.
Well, I mean, Valtteri makes a lot more
money.
Than half our probably state. But yeah, no, thanks guys so much. Go get a Valtteri butt test calendar.
I bought this calendar. Post a link to it. I'm gonna hit him up. Hey, do you have a link for that?
Yeah.
I'm gonna post it on our YouTube.
But yeah, and also we didn't mention at the beginning of the show,
but like, share, and subscribe.
That's not what I was gonna say, but go give a shout out to Blud Lubricants. They've been taking care of us. Actually, damn it. Blud Lubricants.
Blud Lubricants.
I'm running them in one of my toys and did a good session ride, test and tune, and put 130 miles, like pretty good miles on my car. And
let's get him. Color. Will he come do a show with us?
I asked him,
and we can even if it's just let's talk about Blud Lubricants, and
maybe we'll have him call in. He might be more of a call in option. Yeah. But yeah, my oil didn't even change color at all. Very good quality stuff. I'm very excited. Didn't even eat any oil actually. The motor actually ran super good. So I'm actually super excited. I'm actually going to be throwing something in Raina's car this weekend. So I'll keep you guys posted on that.
Heck yeah.
And but yeah, so far my experience with Blud, awesome guys, awesome product.
Huge supporters of the channel.
They are actually support them. Yeah, big supporters of the channel. And then they're also, if you happen to see this before, I think it starts next week, or it actually might start today. They're doing a Blud Friday.
Ooh, Blud Friday.
Blud Friday sale. A lot of different unique stuff. So it might not be all your typical oils, but if you have any big equipment, stuff like that, they definitely are going to be blowing out some killer deals on some stuff, some cleaners, stuff like that. So go check out their Blud Friday. And if you guys want anything, you want to try something, shoot us a message. We'd be happy to get you hooked up and support them any way we can. So
love it. Thank you guys.
See you later.
Until next time.